B, approval of the October 18th to 23 meeting minutes. What we'll do is we will give everybody a minute to look those over. 2 months ago, that was a long time, but I looked them over and they appeared to be appropriate to me. If anybody has any questions, let us know.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I make a motion to approve the minutes of Wednesday, October 18th.
have a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The minutes are approved for the October 18th to 23 meeting. Moving on to unfinished business, item number 1. Update from commission staff. Ray, proposed ethics ordinance amendment status. I don't see anybody here today to report on that. Could I just ask Ms. Hunter, have you heard from anybody on that? Normally we have 1 or 2 people.
We do have counsel on Zoom, so.
On Zoom? Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's give her an opportunity to speak. Who do we have?
Attorney Parisian.
Okay. Attorney Parisian?
Good morning to this honorable body. I hope you're all doing well. I do not have any new or additional information at this time.
All right, well, we'll move on then, and we'll look forward to seeing you or somebody from the staff there in the new year to report to us. Hopefully some progress will have been made. We would like to wish you happy holidays and a pleasant new year.
Thank you, and same to all of you. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Let's move on to item number 2, communication dated September 7th, 2023. Received September 19th from Reverend John W. Taylor, a violation of section 40-9 ethics statement of the ethics ordinance by Sheriff Raphael Washington. I will tell you that at the October meeting, we afforded Reverend Taylor the opportunity to address the board. We also, I indicated to him that at our next meeting that was planned, that would have been the November meeting, which didn't occur because we didn't have a quorum. I indicated that we would give him a few minutes to speak, and we will do that. But I'm going to ask first that Mr. Longstreet give us an update. Tell us where you're at in terms of what should be done with this complaint, and then we're going to afford Reverend Taylor an opportunity to speak for a few minutes.
Pursuant to the ethics ordinance by through David Milton, his attorney, Sheriff Ralph Washington did answer the complaint alleged by Reverend Taylor. He submitted documentation along with all the other appointed officials that appointed Sheriff Washington. It also in Reverend Taylor's complaint, he indicated that he had written all the elected officials in Wayne County, also several members of Detroit city government. All those parties did send responses to us in reference to the complaint alleged by Reverend Taylor. At this point, there is no jurisdiction. We've previously addressed this issue, and it would be my recommendation this matter be dismissed.
Prior to affording Reverend Taylor an opportunity to address the board, does anyone have any discussion that you want to bring up or any questions for Mr. Longstreet? None. Well, I have a few comments to make. Reverend Taylor, when we were at the October meeting, I pulled out my notes and I saw that Attorney Longstreet did a rather thorough job responding to allegations that you made that the sheriff's department was not cooperating with you and telling you clearly what portions of the code that they were asking you to comply with you hadn't complied with, and they pointed out those that you should. there were issues regarding how many pages were involved in the documents that you were asked to review and sign on to and approve and agree with. And Mr. Longstreet took issue with some of your recitations. I think at one point in time, you said one of the volumes was over 1,000 pages. And Mr. Longstreet responded to that and he said, well, no, that's not really accurate. The bottom line as we saw it was this: the sheriff's department has the ability, the right, and the duty to lay down guidelines for anybody that's going to go into the jail and visit prisoners. So that was where we were at in October. Now, while I did indicate to you that we would afford you another opportunity, a few minutes more to address the board, I want to tell you it's going to be a few minutes because we really addressed your complaint earlier in the year. So we're turning the floor over to you, and I'm going to ask respectfully that you please be brief. While I know that you may not agree with us, you may not agree with our findings concerning your prior complaint, you may not agree with our counsel's assessment of the matter, be brief and tell us what's on your mind. If you could please step up. Should he go to the podium or should he just step up to the end of the table? End of the table. And you'll have to press the button to turn the microphone on. The green light will go on when it's on. Did the green light go?
I did press it.
Okay, I think we can hear you. Yep, no problem.
Good morning, honorable board members, Chair Thomas.
Good morning.
I did want to backtrack regarding some of the statements that you made at the last meeting in October that I didn't get a chance to respond to at all. And I think it needs to be cleared up. One of the things you stated that I indicated in my complaint that the board gave a directive to the sheriff and his department. You further stated that it's not our job. We don't have the authority to do that. And you stated that more than once, that that's not your responsibility to give directives. And if you looked at my complaint that I filed, I in no way said that you gave or you should give directives. What you did do is give a recommendation. So I was asking for directive recommendations. And the most important part of your recommendations that you gave back on June 21st, 2022, this is what the board said itself. I quote, "It is, however, the position of the board that it is not only prudent and fundamentally fair that the Wayne County Sheriff Department provides citizens with notice and copies of any laws, regulations, or rules the Wayne County Sheriff Department requires that citizens agree in writing to be bound by, or at least direct them to a specific website where they can easily find such information. It is in the best interest of Wayne County and the general public that the county operates with fundamental fairness and is transparency and fully informative with the citizens it serve." So again, this is what the board recommended. It wasn't any kind of directive that was stated there. And in light of that recommendation that you gave, I looked at the documents that were submitted by Attorney Melton. I assume that everyone's seen those documents.
Yes.
I looked at those documents and I wish somehow those documents could have been forwarded to me because I didn't get them. I didn't get them till I contacted Joseph Slezak yesterday. Then I took a look at them. He signed these documents over 2 months ago. I should have gotten those documents. Shouldn't I have gotten those documents if there was a response to my complaint?
Well, we didn't have a meeting in November because we didn't have a quorum. I can't apologize for that. That's just a rule. So we didn't have a meeting in November.
Okay.
If we had a meeting in November, you would have gotten them sooner, but let's move on from that. You have an opportunity to look, you had an opportunity to look at them recently. What is there about those documents or anything else that you want to bring to our attention?
He states in Exhibit A that the sheriff is in no way violating his responsibilities. But my issue has been, and it still is, and by the way, he did submit all the clearance documents that volunteers are expected to complete. He submitted those, but they were not all submitted. And that was the thing that I had an issue with. The NCIC 2000 operating manual, that was not submitted by the attorney in the documents that volunteers are required to submit it. Also, the Title 28 Code of Ethic Regulations, Part 20, that was not submitted in his response from the sheriff. So those two major documents are what I'm focusing on. If they want us to agree to be bound by their provisions, they should have access. The volunteers should have access to those two documents. They're not even in the package. Why is that?
I cannot tell you that. I didn't prepare the package. Nobody from the board prepared the package. We can't tell you that. We know that we asked them for a response. But what I will tell you is this, and I tell you this very respectfully. Every time I've spoken to you, the couple times you've called my office, I was short because I said, I don't really have authority to make decisions, you
I
know.
haven't called your office this year.
No,
what you talking about?
you've called me in the past.
Talk about over a year ago.
Well, okay.
This is something different,
Well,
sir.
just please let me finish. And the times you've been before the board, you have been very respectful. You are a very, very courteous individual. Your goal to be able to go to the jail and minister to inmates, that is a very admirable goal. We appreciate that. We understand that.
That's not my
But
goal. That's
well,
not my goal.
well, let me just say this. Finish up with your comments rather than you asking questions of me or the board. Let's finish up with the comments you want to make. I told you I was going to let you speak shortly. You've raised some issues regarding the fact that you believe he didn't provide us with all the documents that he should have provided. After you speak, we're going to let Mr. Longstreet speak on our behalf and address your concerns. And then we're going to have to wrap this up. And I'm going to call for a motion after that. So please.
I think in all due fairness, I was here last month. We didn't have a quorum because you and Dr. Cornell wasn't here. So I don't feel like you should be rushing me because you got an agenda to fulfill now. If we had been here last month, we could have dealt with this sooner.
Well, Reverend, I want to correct you on something. When we were at the October meeting, I looked in my notes and I said, you've already spoken here today. But I indicated we're going to give you a few more minutes to speak at the November meeting. So let's, rather than quibble, let's make your points and we're going to let Mr. Longstreet address them. And then we're going to have the board members make a decision.
And as a side note, can I be reimbursed for parking and for gas that I used coming down here last month and nobody was here to hold a meeting?
Well, I'm going to answer that question. We don't get reimbursed
don't
for
either.
that, and we're board members, so we don't have any authority or any budget to do that. But I will say this, sir, if we did have that authority, I would ask if there's a motion from the board to pay for those. We don't have those funds available.
Okay.
So and that's an apology that you wasted
I
that time.
accept that apology, sir.
Okay, all right.
Again, my two focus right now, Mr. Longstreet, I hope you're hearing me. The Federal Regulation Document Part 20, which is a 14-page document. I did not even receive that until I asked Sheriff Dunlap, what is that document? I can't sign these papers. I don't know when I'm signing. He emailed it to me, but it's not really accessible to all the other volunteers. And again, secondly, the operating manual, which is over 1,000 pages. Again, that's not accessible to all the other volunteers. It's not my goal to get back in Wayne County Jail. I think for the benefit of all the people that are down there. I've had people working under my supervision over the jail for a number of years. And just to think that you're expecting us to sign, to agree to be bound by these provisions where we don't have access to that over 1,000-page manual, as well as this 14-page code of regulations, that's my key concern right there, sir.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do now. You've had your opportunity to speak, and I'm closing that portion of the meeting where we've afforded you discussion time. I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Longstreet to respond.
Respectfully, Reverend Taylor, it is my position that the Sheriff's Department has appropriately addressed your concerns. I believe that Deputy Sheriff Dunlap provided you certain information you requested. They direct you to a website where you could find the information. You were cognizant enough to find that information yourself. You've taken the time to count the pages. You've taken the time to read the manual. And I think we can all agree that whatever the sheriff's department wanted you to sign is for the safety and welfare of everyone who was at the jail. So if it's an issue of safety at the jail, then I don't think any of the other volunteers are actually looking for that information. They believe it's for the purposes of their safety, their welfare, and the safety of the jail. I don't have a problem with how the sheriff has conducted himself in this matter. I believe the board has addressed your issues appropriately. And at this point, I don't believe there's anything else for us to discuss.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, is there a motion? First of all, is there any discussion that anyone wants to have regarding what Reverend Taylor has said and what Mr. Longstreet has said? If there's any desire for discussion, let us know. If not, I'll look for a motion.
I would just say that I think, yes,
My
so, Reverend Taylor, the June board meeting, I wasn't here then, but did they refer you to the websites where you can get the NCIC and the federal rules and?
No,
operating
sir.
manual?
No, sir.
What-
And it's written
They
document.
made recommendations that the
No,
sheriff
I'm
department should.
I'm
refer
gonna
to
tell you what they
correct?
did. What they did. When I asked,
Before you came here.
Go ahead.
everything okay?
Yes.
When I asked Chief Dunlap, what was this manual all about? He told me to Google it. And I didn't think I need to Google anything. If this is something you're requiring volunteers to complete and understand and abound by, you should make it accessible to them. He tells me to Google this thing, and that's when I found out it was over 1,000 pages long.
I just wanted to understand that. I thought that the ethics board.
No,
did
you didn't give me a website.
information that the sheriff department should inform you where those sites were.
He did not. Only say he said Google it.
But the boards recommend that they should inform you where they were.
No,
What you just read,
the board recommended to the sheriff department that they supply those things.
right.
And the
So-
reason I came back the
Right, and what
second
I'm saying
time,
is, Reverend Taylor, is I think that I'm not sure if this board has any more authority other than to make a recommendation. It did make that recommendation to the sheriff department. So I'm wondering if this point, it's up to the sheriff department or up to you to look at another forum, since we've made the recommendations to the sheriff department.
you made the recommendation to the sheriff department. I know you don't have the authority to force anybody to do anything.
Right.
You made your recommendations. And after those recommendations made, I followed up to see if the sheriff had taken to heart.
What else can we do? I'm saying, I think we.
I'm trying to get to that, sir.
Okay.
After the sheriff heard the recommendation, I followed up with him and he said, no, I'm not changing anything. And then that's when I began to contact other officials. And that's when I've told by the prosecutor's office, you need to go back to the ethics board. And that's why I came back here and filed another complaint. But the difference with this second complaint is that in the ethnic ordinance, it states that Wayne County employees should have access to the ordinance and be aware of what they are being bound to, what they need to follow. They should understand what's in writing and then sign off on that for the employees.
Right, and all I'm saying is I agree with what you're saying, but I think the board has answered that question. I think now is in another forum jurisdiction because we've made the recommendations already in June, what the sheriff department should do. I don't know if we have any other authority to do anything else because we've already made those recommendations. So I'm wondering if there's another forum for you to get redressed regarding the issue that you're concerned with. We've already made the recommendation that they should provide that information.
Oh, say, and they have not provided.
Have not.
They have
now
not provided.
Right,
So what would be the next step then?
right, I think you may want to consult with your counsel on that, what your other options are.
So I did some checking around. I checked with your counterparts, Macomb County as well as Oakland County. And I had a chance to go over their ordinance ethics that they have for their counties. And I kind of did some comparison with what we have here at Wayne County. And this is still considered an ethical issue, even though there may not be anything stated verbatim in the ordinance of Wayne County. that what sheriff is doing is allowable. It's an ethical issue. And when things are not clear, when there's some ambiguity, that's where the board is supposed to, I'm assuming you're
Right, what
supposed
are we
to,
supposed to do? We've already made the recommendation. What are you suggesting we have the power to do now?
what I'm suggesting, and I think Mr. Longstreet should have questioned this when he got this information from Attorney Melton. Attorney Melton said vehemently in his documentation that the sheriff has supplied all the documentations that are necessary for clearance for volunteers, which in fact, I just named two of them that are not even in this documentation. Why are they in there, Mr. Longstreet? Why you didn't include?
All right, no, we're not going there, Dr. Taylor. You're
What
not
you mean?
gonna, you are not going to ask questions of our council. That's not gonna happen.
Who should I ask them to?
I don't know who you're gonna ask them to, but I'll tell you what, Dr. Ford, I'd like to ask you, sir. Are you satisfied with the discussion that you've had with Reverend Taylor? If you're not, we're gonna let you, you are? Okay, anybody else have any comments that they want to make? Any further discussion?
I just have a comment. Leave it with this, when it was discussed, because of the size of the document, 1,000 pages,
Over 1,000.
over 1,000, the county cannot provide that. So the only thing they could provide to you was the website for you to go and get it. Because the amount of people that are working in the county, it is not cost prohibitive to print out a manual every year, which is what you're saying needs to happen every year for them to sign. That's not cost prohibitive to the county to give that to you. So the only means that you can get it is for the website, which is what you went to and got it from. Am I correct?
I saw it. I didn't read that 1,000-page document. No, it's some of the stuff.
Exactly.
Some of
That's
that
my point.
doesn't even apply to volunteers. It has to do
But-
with employees.
For you to say that means you had access to it and you read it. Am I correct?
How did I have access to it, sir?
just said,
Excuse me,
Reverend-
Reverend Taylor, let him speak.
You
Please,
just
let him
said-
speak.
Reverend, you just said out of your own mouth, you read it.
I didn't
And
say
part of
that.
Didn't he just say?
No, I didn't.
Yes.
I didn't
I
read
believe
it.
you just said you read part of the document.
I saw that it was over 1,000 pages. I wasn't going to read a over 1,000-page document.
But that's my point. You had access to it. Whether you read it or not is not incumbent upon us to make sure you do it. You had access to it, which is what provided a website for you to go access. We can't make you read it. You chose not to read it. So you can't come back and say later that I didn't have access to the document, which you did. You chose not to read the document out of your own mouth. So I'm trying to say, how are we responsible for something you chose not to read? If you want to talk about ethics, then it would be ethical for you to read the whole document, which you did not do.
What I'm saying to you, the document was there, but it's not just me speaking on my behalf. I'm talking about the numbers of. Now you interrupt me now. I allowed you to speak. I'm trying to get my thought out, please.
Man, you being a little bit disrespectful to the board, and I ask you to lower your tone.
Go
Excuse
ahead.
me?
You've been a little disrespectful to the board, and I'm gonna ask you to lower your tone.
Well, I'm just really passionate about
Go
this.
ahead.
Oh, okay, well, you
And
can
I
be
don't-
passionate, but you're gonna be respectful.
I don't need you rebuking me either, okay?
With
Because
all
right
due
now,
respect,
right now,
you can be passionate, but you're gonna be respectful.
You need to do a better job at your job,
Okay.
really.
Time out,
Okay.
excuse me.
You gonna stop
Reverend,
criticizing this board.
You talk about you now, your job.
Reverend
You need to be
Taylor,
just more conscientious in doing your work, sir.
Reverend,
Well, I'm quite
Excuse me.
conscientious,
I
but
don't
at this
think
point,
so.
you're going a little bit too far.
excuse
I
me,
believe so.
Reverend Taylor. I want to ask, our board member, Attorney Woods. Are you satisfied with your discussion with
I'm very
Reverend Taylor?
satisfied.
Okay,
I fleshed
all
out
right.
the points.
Any other comments? Okay.
No, I
Now-
fleshed out the points. He read it,
And
had access to it.
anybody else, any other board member want to make any comments? If not, I'm ready to call a motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Reverend Taylor, we want to thank you very much for being here today. And we want to wish you good luck, happy holidays, and a very healthy, happy, prosperous new year.
I do have public comments. I want to say something when we get to public.
Well, I'll tell you
comments.
what, when we get to public comments, we'll give you 3 minutes. That's
Okay.
what we give people. Okay. All right, moving on. Item number 3 on page 1 of the agenda, communication dated September.
Sorry.
Item number 3, communication dated September 8th, 2023, received September 19th from Bernard Hardick, a violation of section 40-4, and there are some other citations, standard of conduct of the ethics ordinance by Third Circuit Court Judge Darnella Williams Claiborne. Then underneath there, subparagraph A, communication from Third Circuit Court Judge Darnella Williams Claiborne, a response to Bernard Hardick ethics complaint. One thing I would like to say before we go into discussion, it's been the historic approach and belief of this board collectively that we don't have authority and jurisdiction over judges. We don't do that. But what we do have the ability to do is when we get a complaint in concerning a judge, we send it out to the judge out of courtesy, respect, that they're entitled to see it, and they're invited to provide a response if they care to. So this was not a situation where the judge was required to submit a response. Now, with that said, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Longstreet to give us an update and a recommendation.
We did receive a formal complaint from Mr. Bernard Hardick making allegations of misappropriation of restitution funds by the court. 40-7C notice was sent to Judge Williams Claiborne at the Third Circuit Court. The court did provide a response to the ethics board, indicating not only was there no misappropriation of funds, but however, Mr. Hardick is $22,000 in arrears in restitution, and the court also provided a judgment as proof of such. At this point, we have no jurisdiction over the Third Circuit Court. We have no jurisdiction over Third Circuit Court judges. It is my recommendation that this board dismiss this complaint for
Any
failure to
discussion?
state a claim for which relief can be granted.
Okay, any discussion? Ready for a motion?
Motion to dismiss.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Dismissed. Item number 2 on page 2, communication dated December 12th, 2023, received December 12th, 2023 from Reginald Crawford, Ray, violation of section 40-2, gratuity and relative and section.
Wrong one. You
Pardon me? Oh, skip, I apologize.
Lobbyist registration.
Communication dated December 12th, 2023, received December 12th, 2023 from Matthew Gehring, Ray Lobbyist Registrations. Anything to report on that, Mr. Longstreet?
No, there was no formal complaint in this issue. This was a person inquiring in regards to how lobbyist registrations are actually kept and where he needs to go to receive certain information about the lobbyist registration and whether the lobbyist registration was up to date. A response can be submitted to him via email. However, there's no action for the board to take at this time.
That's fine. Any questions or comments, or can we move on to item number 2?
I just have a question.
Okay.
Did we already submit the response or,
No.
okay,
Will you be doing that?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Satisfied?
yes, thank you.
Item number 2, communication dated December 12th, 2023, received December 12th, 2023 from Reginald Crawford, Ray, a violation of section 40-2, gratuity and relative, and sections 40-4, standard of conduct, B1, gifts and gratuities, standard of conduct of ethics ordinance by Sheriff Raphael Washington. Mr. Longstreet, could you give us an update on that?
Yes, I can. We have received a formal complaint from Mr. Reginald Crawford. He has alleged allegations of violation of the Wayne County Ethics Ordinance, gifts and gratuities. I have sent 40-7C notice to the sheriff and a reply is pending.
Could I ask a question? Is this the one that was written about so much in the newspaper about
Yeah.
Yeah.
proposed gifts
Yeah.
being sent to his mother or something?
That is correct, yes.
All right, because I got a call at my office about maybe within the last 10 days or so about this, and I wasn't able to tell him anything, to be honest. I think the call came in before the 12th. I wasn't even aware that a complaint had been received. But I would assume that in the future, there will be follow-up regarding this. When do you anticipate receiving the answer? Do they have 21 days to file an answer?
Yes, and the notice was sent Monday.
Notice was sent Monday?
Monday, yes.
Okay, so 21
They
days. from
acknowledged
Mon-
receipt yesterday.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions or comments regarding item number 2? Okay, let's move on to item number 3. Communication dated December 14, 2023, received December 14, 2023, from Mia White Jones, Ray Annie Hussein of the Wayne County Treasurer's Office. Can you give us an update on that, Mr. Longstreet?
Yes, Ms. White Jones did file a formal complaint against the Wayne County Treasurer's Office and Annie Hussein of the Wayne County Treasurer's Office. The allegation was failure to comply with the court order releasing certain number of funds. 40-7C notice has been sent to, actually, it has not been sent. This is not in its proper form. A notice cannot be sent at this time until the complaint is in its proper form, and then we can send the notice of complaint.
But if they failed to have it notarized and things like that.
That is correct.
mechanical things.
It was not notarized, it's not on the proper form. So there's nothing we can redress at this time. However, I can send notice to Ms. White indicating that she needs to send it to the proper form and we can address her
Okay.
concerns.
Very good. Anybody have any questions or comments regarding item number 3? All right, let's move on then to item number
Excuse
4.
me, Mr. Thomas?
Joe Slazak, Commission Policy Analyst. We got a notice this morning from the Treasurer's Office that Ms. Hussein does not work for the Treasurer's Office. She works for the Wayne County Employees Retirement System.
Oh, so we have to correct the title on the agenda, what her title is? Okay, did you pick up that correction?
Her complaint say Wayne County Treasurer's Office.
Says it on here.
It's Wayne County, it says Wayne County Treasurer's Office.
So from your perspective, there's nothing to change? Is that-
There's nothing for us to correct. That's
Okay.
something for Ms. White Jones to correct.
All right. All right. Well, then I guess we're ready to move on to item number 4. Thank you very much, Mr. Slezak.
But we can give her a notice of
Yeah.
saying,
Okay. You send her an email or something?
yes.
All right, excellent. Item number 4, communication dated received December 18th from Attorney Charles Longstreet and Chair Thomas, forwarding the Wayne County Ethics Board 2023 year-end report. I hope that everybody's had an opportunity to see it. I think it went out a little bit later than we would have wanted it to, but we got it out. And if anybody hasn't seen it, I brought extra copies of it to be reviewed today. What we're going to do is the report was actually due on the 15th of December. And as a result of the fact that our meeting wasn't until the 20th, we were unable to file it. And we were told that what we need to do is get it filed in due course as soon as it's approved by the board. And then Mr. Longstreet will write a letter and explain why we were unable to review it and get it approved. Mr. Longstreet has signed the report. It has my changes that I went over with him. We went back and forth on it. He did a very good job of preparing it. I thought it was very thorough. He signed it, and it would be my intention, if we get it approved here today, I will sign it, we'll get it out. If anybody has any corrections or suggestions regarding the report, we'll hear them now. Did you get a chance to look at the report, Dr. Carnell? I know you got your agenda late.
So I make a motion to approve the 2020. I make a motion to approve the 2023 year-end report of the Ethics Board.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the report is approved. Mr. Longstreet, before we leave today, I brought a clean copy of the report. I'll sign it and put it in your hands.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, now, item number 5. Discussion of the 2024 meeting schedule. I will say preliminarily, what we've always done is we've held our meetings on the 3rd Wednesday of each month. It's just been consistency. We all know when they're going to be held. However, what we've tried to do in the past is if a member it knows in advance that they're not going to be able to attend, we have quorum problems. And in the coming year, we're losing 2 members, and Dr. Carnell has been a steadfast member. I don't know that we could say that about Mr. Young, but his service was very much appreciated when he was here. But we sometimes have a problem with the quorum. So what we would do, if anybody saw in advance that they're going to be out of the country for a week or two in September or August or whenever, we could try to adjust the schedule. I brought extra calendars here today. If anybody doesn't have their calendars with them, I will tell you right now preliminarily, I have approved all, I'm clear and I'm open. I know, does anybody need a calendar for 2/24? Got them?
I'll take one.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm clear on them, but I do see a problem that we're gonna face with the December meeting. The December meeting, this is looking ahead a full year, the December meeting is on the 18th. Our report, our year-end report is due on the 15th. I don't think that it's a big problem, but if we wanted to adjust that date and move it back to the 11th, we could do that, and then we'd be able to get our report in on time. So with all that said, does anybody foresee any problems with the meetings being held on the third Wednesday of each month, January through November? And then we could talk about December. No
No
problems?
problem.
Okay, well, very good. It looks like we're gonna stick with the third Wednesday of each month. Now, with December, the December meeting, the 15th of December is a Sunday. We could adjust that date. My suggestion is that we just leave it the same but if somebody wants to move it for the reason I said, that our year-end report is due on the 15th, we could move it back to the 11th. I don't have strong feelings one way or the other because we found out this time around that if you're going to be late, as long as there's a reasonable explanation and you explain it, you have your counsel explain it in a cover letter, that's acceptable. So we've already approved January through November. Anybody have any strong feelings about December, one way or the other? Dr. Carnell, you're not going to be here, so we're not going to let you speak.
I mean, either way works for me.
Either way?
Yeah.
What do you, Mr. Schaefer, how about you? Either way?
Either way.
I say we leave it on for the 18th.
Okay.
I'd rather do that. The consistency is something that's something that's important, and we really do not know what the schedules of our two new members are going to be. We don't even know when they're going to be appointed. But I would say this, to Mr. Slezak, I do not know what influence you have at all regarding the appointment of members and who appoints them, but I would like the individuals that are appointing these members to know that at least with one member this year, we had an attendance problem. And I think that if individuals are going to be asked to serve, they should be told two things. Number one, our meetings are held on the third Wednesday of each month. I would appreciate that the new members be told that. And then I would also appreciate the new members being told that this is a volunteer board. Nobody gets compensated for anything at any time. And attendance is important. If you're going to sign up to do the job, we want your input. And I will tell you this, our proposed changes to the ethics ordinance have not been adopted yet. And I think that one of the things that I'm going to want to do to discuss with the board in January, February, or March, sometime early in the year, I want to discuss whether we want to suggest other changes to the proposals that we've already made. We may want to do that. We have a couple new members that have come on board, and we'll want their input on it. I'm not saying that that's necessarily going to happen, but we might want to appoint a subcommittee to review those changes. So Mr. Slezak, with all due respect to you and whoever these individuals are that are going to be making the appointments, we might want to let them know when our meeting dates are, and we might want to let them know the importance of attendance.
Through the chair, Joe Slezak, I will relay that to, Pam Lane, the acting clerk of the commission, is my boss, and she's been in contact with Ms. Worthy and Mr. Youngblood about the reappointment. So I'll relay that to her. Also, scheduling wise, there are three meetings in 2024 for the third Wednesdays that will not be in this room. They'll probably be down in the chambers, April, May, and August, because we have commission committee meetings in that room those days.
Well, let me ask the members this. To me, it doesn't, I like this room. I think this is a much more professional setting than that big, it's like an auditorium. But that doesn't bother me at all. The fact, if it bothers anybody, we could talk about moving the meeting dates for those months. Mr. Slezak, I assume that when we get closer to April, Some of us may forget that, and you'll be notifying us by email. Remember that in April, you don't go to the 7th floor. It's down on, the meeting's down on the 1st floor.
That'll be reflected in the agenda that
There you
goes
go.
up. Yep.
There you go. Well, all right. Item number 6, presentation of certificates of appreciation to 2 board members, Dr. Sue Carnell and Robert Young, whose terms end. Mr. Slezak, can I hold up Dr. Carnell's plaque? Dr. Carnell, we know that this is one of the most momentous moments of your entire career, but I do want to thank you. It has been, Dr. Carnell, Ms. Lewis, let's step over here. Not that anybody's taking pictures, but let's step over here and present it. Dr. Carnell, we're presenting you with this plaque, and I complimented Joe and whoever had it made up, and we're giving you this certificate of appreciation. I will tell you from the bottom of our heart, you have been a guiding force on the board, and you have been the member of continuity. You've been the longest serving member, and she has always been here to tell us a little bit of history. So we appreciate your service. We wish you a very happy holiday season.
Thank you.
And a prosperous, healthy new year.
Thank you. Thank you.
When we come to your office to visit in the future, I want to see that.
Also, Mr. Thomas, I'll make arrangements with Mr. Young to get his to
Would you
him.
do that and tell him we greatly appreciate him and we missed him? I had kind of been hoping that he would have come today. All right, moving on to item E. Such other matters as may be properly submitted by the board. Does any board member have any matters that they want to submit at this point in time? Or Mr. Longstreet, do you have any issues that you would like to discuss?
There is one issue, and that is the 15th due date of the annual report. The reason why it couldn't be done on time is because we couldn't meet and approve of the report prior to its due date. So I think at this point, as part of our suggested changes to the ethics ordinance, that 15th date not be a solid date, and that it be moved to due at the last board meeting of the year.
Well, you want to know something? I think that's a very good, sound proposal. Because when I requested an extension to submit the report on after the January meeting, I was specifically told that they couldn't approve it. We could offer explanation, which I've already gone into, Mr. Longstreet is going to do, but they said they couldn't because it's part of the ordinance. It says it's due on the 15th of the month. I think that's an excellent suggestion. And I think if we do end up appointing a subcommittee to review it, it'll probably be chaired by Ms. Lewis.
Mhm.
And that's one of the changes that you could suggest. I don't know who else would be interested in other than us, but there's definitely a conflict there when the 15th is cast in stone. So appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Mr. Slezak?
Just for the board members' information, the full commission yesterday approved the extension of Mr. Longstreet's contract for 2 more years through February of 2026. The vote was 14-0 with 1 excused. The initial contract did not come before the commission because, according to the procurement ordinance, because it was $35,000, it could go straight. It could be approved by the Office of Corporation Counsel, which is what happened. Because this added another $35,000, this came to the
Thank you for that update. And thank you, Mr. Longstreet. It looks like you're not going to be getting rid of us soon. You're going to be with us
It's like until
a couple more
2026.
years. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. Valuable asset to us. All right.
Also, Felicia Johnson, who was commission counsel, asked to speak up during such other matters.
Okay.
Good morning, board members. My apologies for not being present. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I just wanted to provide an update with regards to the litigation that was filed against the Ethics Board. As you know, a case was filed against the County Commission, the County Clerk, the Ethics Board, and others. The complaints and allegations against the Ethics Board were alleged that the board did not comply with a certain FOIA request that was responded to by my office, and also that the Ethics Board was not in compliance with following the process and procedures in the Ethics Ordinance. We did file motions to dismiss, and I just wanted to report that those motions were granted, that the matter and allegations against the Ethics Board were dismissed with prejudice. If there is an appeal or other updates, I'll be sure to come back to you in the future. And on another note, I'll note that I did talk to Mr. Longstreet about the ethics report, and we agreed that the due date probably should be changed maybe to by the end of the year. You do not have to submit that. My office will make that change. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ms. Johnson, Ms. John, did she hang up on us?
No, I'm here.
Ms. Johnson, on behalf of the board, I'd like to wish you a very happy holiday season and a very healthy and prosperous new year. We want to thank you for always being there for us with the information. And on that dismissal, I want to say, heave ho, good job.
Thank you.
Glad that
Thank
that
you.
was dismissed.
Yes.
Okay, anything else under E, such other matters as may be properly submitted by the board? If not, we'll move to public comments. All right, public comments. Reverend Taylor, I want to tell you, come up to the table. But you said you wanted to speak during public comments, sir. We're going to give you an opportunity, but I want to tell you, number one, the recording can only pick up one speaker at a time. So we're not going to talk. Nobody's going to talk over each other. We're going to give you a few minutes, 2 minutes to talk,
You
3
said
minutes.
3 minutes.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to time you at 3 minutes. I'm going to time it. Please, let's hear your comments. Be very pointed, be very direct. Let's start.
Now, first of all, I submitted this second complaint in September of this year. Isn't it protocol that once someone submits a complaint, they're supposed to get some kind of correspondence, a letter of acknowledgement that that the complaint was received?
Are you telling us that you you did not get an acknowledgement that your complaint was received? That's a question.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Mr. Longstreet, did he get a notice or some type of indication that his complaint was received, if you can recall?
I can't recall, but I believe he did because he's here and he's been at every meeting.
No, sir, I did not.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Continue.
Can I get a formal acknowledgement that I submitted this complaint back in
Sir,
September?
You've been to 2 meetings now. You
get to say your part. You do not have to respond on public.
I was addressing my remarks to the chair.
Well, I tell you what, Dr. Carnell is a senior member of the board. She has a lot of experience on the board, maybe more experience than the chair. She indicated to me and you and everybody present that you don't get to ask questions during public comment. So that's where we're going to go. Continue with your public comment. Your time is running.
I'm requesting for the record, can I please get some kind of correspondence from this board that my complaint was received in September of this year?
Complete your comment. Yeah.
May make the request to the chair.
Okay.
Make the request, but you do not have to.
Okay. Secondly, as I said earlier, I got this response from Attorney Melton. I just saw it yesterday when I went online. But there's just one point on here I just want to bring to the board's attention. He states on his second page, in reference to the NCIC 2000 operating manual, that manual, I quote, that manual is not required reading for security clearance with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, end quote. If that's the case, if it's not required reading, why is it listed on the other form that it has to be certified that it's been read? We agree to be bound out provision. That's the thing that's so confusing. It says not required reading. If anything, I think the Sheriff Department needs to change the language on here so people would know that you don't have to read this thing. You're not to be bound by it if it's not required reading. I just trust that you note that in your records.
Hey, finished?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Reverend. Thank you for coming today. Thank you, Dr. Carnell, for helping us out with public comment. And I want to thank everybody. And unless somebody has some other questions or
We make one
concerns,
more public comment.
Okay.
Mr. Reginald Crawford.
Mr. Crawford?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Madam Vice Chair, and good morning, Board. My name is Reginald Crawford. I'm a retired Wayne County deputy, former president of the Union Wayne County Deputy Sheriff's Association. Some 47 years in law enforcement, 30 years with Detroit, retired, 5 years with Atlanta PD, and former Detroit Police Commissioner. I filed a complaint against Sheriff Raphael Washington for violation of the Wayne County Ethics Ordinance. It was reported in the social media. The violation was conducted on social media. And the violation was, and this is no disrespect to Sheriff Washington's mother's 86th birthday. I can say that from my heart. I wish and pray that she has many more. The issue was, in reference to the violation, is that when that social media posting, Sheriff Washington is in uniform. His profile picture is in Wayne County Sheriff's uniform. Now, locally, those in Detroit and Wayne County may recognize him by face if he was in a suit and tie. But the mere fact that he was in uniform, anyone across the country would know that he's the sheriff of Wayne County, or a sheriff, per se. That violation, not only is it a violation of the ethics ordinance, it was a violation of the sheriff's very own sheriff's office social media policy, which I can assure you my deputies were held accountable for that, and rightfully so. If they violated such a policy as putting their image in a deputy uniform on social media, requesting monies or gifts for relatives, just even being on social media in that uniform is a violation of the sheriff's policy. Also, what the sheriff did is a violation of his own code of ethics, paragraph 2 and 3. Paragraph 2 speaks to being unsullied, keeping your private life unsullied. Paragraph 3 speaking to never accepting gratuities. Every law enforcement officer in this country must adhere to that. And that is the code of ethics for law enforcement officers. So I'm here and filed a complaint and look for your discussion, decision, your vote on this matter. It's really pathetic what occurred, to say the least. So I just ask that Sheriff Washington and all other elected officials and Wayne County employees be held accountable for such egregious behavior, one might say. Thank you.
Mr. Crawford, thank you. You know from being in attendance today that we've gotten that complaint, we received that complaint, and we've sent it out for a response. So you're aware of that.
Yes, sir.
Those are matters that will be discussed at future meetings. We want to thank you for coming today.
Yes, sir. I look forward to attending your future meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else that we need to discuss at this time? If not, we'll accept the motion to adjourn. Seconded? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I want to thank you all very much. I hope everybody has a very happy holiday season and a healthy, prosperous